Okay, I'm back, I think. I should be back. Oh, I hope I'm back. I don't know, this is a giant pain in the ass. Alright. Yeah, looks like this stream's back for some people. That's good. I don't like technical problems. They make me really, really annoyed. But I don't have much of a choice. Okay. Oh. That's something to note. I should probably move this down like a bunch. Like right there? Yeah, it seems reasonable. Maybe move this set up a bit. Oh. Missing these two. And this. Even if my internet is ultimately completely non-cooperative tonight, I'm still going to be working on this. I just don't know when and where and what. And it's a pain in the ass. Yeah, I don't like having to deal with this, but again, what can I do? So there's some like extensive. There's some extensive reference for like weird pauldrons and stuff. I guess we'll get rid of this. Let's pick something a little bit more, something a little bit more, I guess, appropriate. Or not, I don't know. Put this here, put this here, here. Here. Down. And then some kind of like swoopy thing. There we go. Okay, that more or less works. I think I'll round that off so we have something to work with. And kneecap. That's going to be kind of hard to reproduce. I guess I'll move this down. I was gonna try and like move it up or something, so the other part would work better, but this is fine. Okay. This is annoying. Move that around, and yeah, let's get the other side. So it's like this. I gotta maneuver some things just because it makes more or less sense based on whatnot. Plus, honestly, I gotta make sure that we don't have like too tight of areas here and there. Okay. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. Yeah, that looks maybe a little bit more reasonable. Maybe I'll like move this down. Pop that there. Move this out a bit and drop this down. Yeah, it seems reasonable. Okay, so now we got to do the same thing. So there's a. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have actually gone with something fancy, because this looks like it's, actually is a bit of a nightmare to make, but that's okay. So we want to do kind of this, this, and then we've got kind of like an interior diamond with this at the top. Yeah, it's a little clunky. And I'll have to get some better details. Nice thing is, it also kind of doesn't matter. I probably should have designed this way more simply. I saw some like cool Fire Emblem boots and I was like, okay, maybe I should actually do this. Yeah, that seems reasonable. It just needs to be taller on the top? Yeah, it just needs to be taller on the top. I don't know. Sometimes I go overboard on details when I really shouldn't, because, like, hey, this character literally is going to be just, like, a completely nobody thing. Okay, and then last bit is getting these like little lines in here. Yeah. so I should probably mention, I will not be taking suggestions on, like, how to handle certain things. I know, Clow, you're specifically trying to get me to make Drez into a paladin or something. That's not gonna happen. I know... I've actually already planned for, like, a lot of these, I've actually planned for, like, a lot of these eventualities. The stuff that happened in the campaign was unexpected, but totally prepared for. Believe it or not. Like, I kind of expected that at some point, Greg would get himself killed. I will admit, I didn't actually expect that, I actually did not expect that, Keith was gonna get himself killed. Keith, Drez, whatever. I did not expect he would die, especially so soon to Greg, but, I mean, if it works, it works. Oops. Come on. Don't give me the handle. Give me the goddamn anchor. Thank you. But so I will not be remaking anybody as anything. Should probably... Actually, we only need 2 of these. I'm not entirely sure if they're working. Oh, and I've got the goddamn plus arrow thing. Okay. So there's one. And then the next is like midway up. But yeah, so I was caught by surprise by a couple of things, but for the most part, everything is like well within expectations. And I should have like no problem adapting the campaign. It just takes time. That's kind of my main main issue with all the shit that happened, is that ultimately I just didn't have any of the maps or the notes prepared. Because usually I make these campaigns, you know, the night beforehand, sort of, but well, no, usually it's like a week beforehand, I guess would be the proper way of putting it, because everything in that castle and that keep in Grave of Man had been designed over the course of the month, more or less, and so as a result of them kind of destroying everything on me, I had, like, no easy way of, like, coping. And then, obviously, since everybody died, it was a perfect excuse to kind of do a season break. And that's actually giving me ample time to get set up for a couple of these things. Because previously, I've kind of been flying by the seat of my pants, getting this whole campaign together. And by taking the short, necessary break here, I'm able to actually make some cool assets for potentially switching this over fully and forever to isometric, which will be a huge, I don't know, I think it will be a huge, like, benefit along the way. Yeah, and if you guys are confused about anything I'm saying, please go watch the finale, because that's important. What was the most unexpected thing? Honestly, of my entire campaign, the most unexpected thing has been Skitter. Like, I had plans for pretty much every character, what they do, so on and so forth. I 100% was not expecting them to recruit a random-ass goblin along the way. But, so, like, Skitter was an accident that I had no contingency plans for. I more or less just was like, shit, how, okay, I got this, I kind of got this, I'll just make it work. And I did, and it actually, I mean, it turned out perfectly fine. But it was a complete surprise. And it also surprised me that everybody loves Skitter as much as as they do, because, like, really, Skitter was a seat of the pants moment of, like, shit, how do I give a character a personality? Well, what would, like, a not evil goblin be like? And thus, Skitter, having no self-confidence and, despite his, like, actually ridiculously high stats, was created. I guess his, like, utter lack of wisdom. Ugh, this looks awful. Let's try something different. Do this. But yeah, no, it was absolutely wonderful not miscalculation, but like an absolutely wonderful like freak accident of like the players doing something unexpected. Because they honestly, without Skitter, they probably would have had a lot more trouble over this campaign just because of how useful having a rogue is. But then again, I guess I've kind of also designed things around them having Skitter now. So that has kind of changed the campaign too, because originally a lot of it was more based on getting, you know, Greg and Alarin to figure it out. I mean, honestly, Alarin could have actually learned plenty of thievery skills and fulfilled the role herself. But this works too. This actually, I mean, it worked out perfectly fine for everybody. And then they gave him all the, like, really high-powered gear instead of even, like, bothering to look at whether or not any of it was good. Which was kind of amusing, surprising for me. Because I was just like, okay, you've allowed Skitter to soup himself up. And there was, like, that small voice in the back of my head, and it's like, okay, so this is the point where Skitter betrays them. I'm actually really glad that I didn't go with that, because I think that would have been, really shitty to do. And he probably could have just sneak attacked the shit out of them, if he had wanted to. Would have been really funny. But I'm glad I didn't do it, because I don't know, I never like it when DMs kind of have a character that then betrays everybody. But yeah, especially like with the hammer and a couple other things, he would do a very good job of destroying the party very fast if left unchecked. Luckily, he doesn't have the self-confidence or really the compunction to do so. So those are fairly important things. But yeah, I had a DM once specifically who designed, who more or less had designed her campaign to kind of be douchey about it. Like, she actively had more or less just made a campaign to screw everybody over. And so, she made a, I guess, a support character, effectively Skitter, to join us. And almost right away, I realized that this support character is going to betray us horribly and presumably kill us. And so I almost immediately, like, let the rest of the party know. I'm like, by the way, like, this character needs to die and we need to get rid of them. And the DM is like, you can't do that, that's metagame knowledge. And I'm like, fuck, it's not. The only reason why I know now for sure that this character is, evil is specifically because you just confirmed it by denying it in front of us all. And so her response was to have the DM character, effectively Skitter, kill my character first, because he knew, the DM character knew that my character was onto him, even though I'd already been told, like, no, you can't know that. You can't be onto him. So my character gets insta-gibbed with a pair of, like, sneak attacks or something while he was asleep, because obviously he can't just stay awake all the time. At which point I quit the campaign, because, fuck, like, that's not even DMing at that point. That's just having a murder boner for everybody. And yes, that was a super shitty DM, and as such, I refused to play any more campaigns with her, which was perfectly fine, because it turns out she was kind of a jerk anyway. Now, I think I was actually one of the only, like, experienced people in that entire campaign, and, like, the really frustrating thing was, it was a campaign of, like, I want to say there was, like, 8 of us. She had, like, recruited a ton of us and effectively had secretly designed the campaign around being Saul for for, like, D&D. So, like, every encounter would kill off somebody, but I guess the main issue with it all was every encounter would kill somebody off. However, she wouldn't let people come immediately back. You know, it would take a while before the characters would, or the players were kind of allowed to have their replacement characters come in. But so specifically one guy was kind of super frustrated because his character got killed. He was a paladin, and he got killed fairly quick. I think he got crushed to death or something, you know, in a trap room that we couldn't figure. Oh god, this was super shitty. So we were in a dungeon. We were walking single file down a corridor, and there was a pressure plate that none of us spotted. Okay, so that's, I guess, our fault for not RNGing hard enough. But so 2 walls immediately, like, slam shut, or gates or something like that, and then the ceiling just starts going down. And so we look all over the place for a mechanism to stop it, you know, to free the guy, while the rest of the party is trying to, like, beat down the gates. Because I was the rogue. I rolled a 24, I think, search check, because this is 3rd edition. And that was apparently not enough to notice the mechanism. And I have a sneaking suspicion that there was actually, like, no mechanism, period. That she was actually just lying to us. Or she just hadn't designed one, period. I don't know. But so the paladin gets killed, and he's salty about it, but whatever. He'll make a new one. He's a good sport, and also drunk. We were all drunk for this, so it kind of took the edge off. But so he makes a new character, and so later on we find an adventurer that had raided the dungeon before, you know, his replacement character, and he was, like, tied up in a cell and starving or something like that. And so, as a result, not only was he starving, so he had some, like, serious stat penalties, but he actually starved to death in the middle of the campaign, because the DM all of a sudden sprung, like, starvation mechanics on us. So he made a character, had it show up, and then starved to death because none of us had written rations down on our character sheets, because we hadn't been told, like, this would be a stickler, and her excuse was, well, you all should have known. And I was like, well, frickin', we don't know what kind of DM you are here. Well, now we know what kind of DM you are here. But, like, if the entire party doesn't write down rations, you should probably let them know, like, you should probably write down rations. And so that was his quitting point. Having a character, he didn't even get to do combat. He just stuck around for, like, 1 or 2 puzzle rooms that, you know, his monk, I think he had re-rolled monk or something, his monk couldn't interact with, beyond, like, maybe just helping out a little bit. And then he just died, and it's just like, bye. And then when I left, the DM was actually super pissed at me because I was the party rogue, and she had slotted me as the party rogue, and with me leaving, despite having been killed off, she's like, well, now my entire campaign's screwed up because, hey, there's all these puzzles that require, like, lockpicking and search and stuff like that. And I was just like, did I actually ever matter there? Because, like, I'd found a lock that I could pick, and a 22 wasn't enough. I'm a really good munchkin, so I was, like, super powered for level 3. Also, my rolls tend to be kind of decent. But I was like, did I actually matter? Because, like, for the life of me, I just felt like another victim as opposed to, like, an asset here. And her response, she didn't really have much of a response, at least not one that I remember, so it was probably just like, but, you know, you can't, like, abandon everybody. And as far as I heard, they did, like, 2 more sessions, at which point she had forgotten to bring the booze one day, and everybody more or less just rioted because her campaign was only tolerable with booze. And we were in the dorm, so getting booze was not exactly a doable thing. Would have just walked away when the first guy left. But you don't realize, I got killed, I want to say, like, 10-20 minutes later. Like, the whole process between the paladin guy getting killed the first time and then his monk starving to death in the middle of the dungeon. By the way, the whole starving to death thing was super shitty from the perspective of, like, there wasn't even, like, warning. It's just like, by the way, your character is, like, actively starving to death. She just, like, described him as starving. She didn't actually say, like, by the way, if you don't get food within the next, like, 20 minutes, your character is just straight up going to die again. She just said, like, by the way, you haven't eaten anything in, like, a while. Your character is now dying. And it's just like, wait, what? I think this is more why the guy left than anything else. But, so he just, like, sudden, you know, sprang on him death, and it's like, okay, this is shitty and whatever. But so, then we all, like, kind of take a break, because there were other stuff, like, other stuff that had happened that was also, like, shitty and whatever, so we take a rest. And then the NPC character murdered mine, and so the other guy had already checked out at this point, and then I was just like, well, I guess I'm leaving too, see ya. She's like, well, just re-roll a character, we'll get you in. I'm like, I've already seen how that goes. Why bother? Let's see, how the new guys started to death, but none of the older guys. The rest of us had just entered the dungeon. We hadn't even been there for, like, quote-unquote 4 hours or something like that. This guy had been in the dungeon for apparently, like, a month. Or something stupid like that, and so it was super contrived, her reasoning, honestly. This hand is a little bit on the big side. I hate hands. Honestly, these guys are probably going to have mittens or, like, no hands for the most part. I'm trying to think of other, like, specific D&D horror stories. I don't actually have many. Usually D&D was run by my brother. My brother was a pretty damn good DM. His only, my brother's only, like, real issue when it came to D&D, he might actually end up watching this video. He fell in love with his villains, and they wouldn't die, even if they, like, kind of deserved to. So, like, at one point I did a huge amount of damage to one of his like bosses, effectively. You know, his villainous NPCs that the plot, like, had centered around. And apparently he had, like, cooked up an artifact on the spot that made people immortal. So I proceeded to then wrestle the artifact away from the guy, taking away his immortality, and then making my character, you know, I guess, all-powerful and immortal and whatnot. And then proceeded to just mop the floor with the other guy, who still didn't die after, you know, a couple hundred damage or something stupid like that. And he's like, well, he's still immortal, even though he doesn't have the thing anymore. I'm like, but fucking, you give us a boss fight, and then you just make it unwinnable. Like, what's the point? That was about it. I don't know. not a whole lot of complaints about his campaigns, but that moment was where I just got kind of salty about it, because it's just like, no, if you're gonna have a character of any variety in a D&D campaign, you better have plans for them dying on you. Like, anybody in my campaign. What about D&D funny stories? Unfortunately, I'm, like, starting to move away from, it's starting to become, wow. Okay. I'm starting to, like, push on a decade from when I used to play in high school, so I'm starting to forget a lot of this stuff. Like, I'm starting to forget a lot of the stuff that, like, happened. Which sucks, but oh well. But here's a quote from chat. We usually end up using melee weapons because our DM doesn't allow our dex bonus to help bows. What? That's a terrible... That's an absolutely terrible dungeon master, man. I would probably consider just checking out of that campaign. I guess if the rest of it's terrible, I don't know. I always hate it when DMs specifically don't follow the rules. And admittedly, like, I don't follow the rules in Grave of Man. Like, I'm 100% guilty of cheesing shit for extra effect. But I always hate it when DMs kind of do weird homebrew nonsense that kind of destroys the balance of a campaign. Actually, I was reading about this. This is kind of a separate topic. I like to read the Dungeons and Dragons subreddit on Reddit, and it's one of my favorite things to read because there's some like kind of neat shit on there, like rule discussions and whatnot. And so somebody was actually discussing mutually assured destruction. I guess rules when it comes to D&D. And so it is a character can come up like with weird crazy tricks all they want to like defeat campaigns and bosses and whatnot, but at the same time the DM then gets the right to the DM gets the right to then use them back on the people, the players. So specifically, I think this was in reference to what did they do? I think they used like a light spell on the inside of somebody's helmet or something, effectively blinding a knight. And so the DM's like, all right, yeah, that's totally fair, but I'm probably gonna use this tactic against you in the future. And the people were like trying to weigh the options of like, well, this is like ridiculous and it'll save us right now, but it may screw us real bad in the future. And I thought that was absolutely brilliant. Because, like, that's kind of how spike growth actually went with us. Like, technically it's supposed to be normally a concentration spell, but as a result of, as a result of, I guess, flagrant overuse of it without concentration, it is just now not concentration at all. And now everybody is going to have to deal with the consequences of that, which is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that. This handle is far too large. Let's shrink it down a bunch. Greg is on Tumblr? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, that's, Keeper of Ages is Shell. So, of course, Greg is on Tumblr. Shell's on Tumblr. Hot dog handle. Yeah, I'll have to think about that. Alright, this guy's silhouette, for the most part, is done. Somebody just found Greg on Tumblr.
Well, people reblog, like, they share other people's posts. So a lot of D&D people find them.
What are you up to? Why are you creeping?
Well, you just talked about that.
Let's see. Do we have a Xenoblade Chronicles? Is this the... No, it's not. That's unfortunate. Gonna see if I can find the Xenoblade Chronicles YouTube. The handle is too skinny or short to balance the weight of the blade. That's a good point. I should probably make it a little bit longer.
You might want to add a pommel or something. I don't know.
Nah, I don't think so. Not for this one. Okay, this might get a little loud. There we go. I haven't listened to the Xenoblade Chronicles official soundtrack for a while. I'm just gonna have it be kind of long. Because honestly, this is a bastard sword more than a long sword and stuff like that. Okay. But yeah, one of the reasons why I like going to the D&D subreddit specifically is I absolutely adore all of the horror stories and whatnot. Am I gonna add a pommel to the sword? No, I think it was actually just gonna be kind of a stick. This doesn't, I don't know, for whatever reason this just doesn't feel like a sword that deserves a pommel or anything like that. I don't know shit about weapons, but sometimes pommels just look kind of weird. I mean, I guess I could actually extend it a bunch more so it's like kind of half polearm. Nah, probably not. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I absolutely love reading like D&D horror stories. Like, you know how I tell about that one horror DM that I had. And it's one of those where I love seeing other people tell like horror stories too. So specifically in terms of the Dungeon Master, who won't allow his players to use bows with a dexterity bonus, which makes like 0 sense. I was reading one the other day where the DM specifically outlawed standard like die roll systems for stats, saying like, nope, you got to use my like weird homebrew system for stats instead. And so everybody started with like 9s and 10s and stuff like that. But he forced them all to like re-roll their characters and whatnot, which I mean is kind of fine if you've got like a whoops.
I prefer point buy.
Yeah, Shell prefers point buy. I don't know what I prefer. I kind of prefer the dice rolling system just because you get some interesting variances. But it can also screw over party members by, you know, making some weaker than others. I just remember the one time my brother forced me to play a specific character that had I think his highest stat. Was this my brother? I don't remember who had forced me to do this, but effectively one of my character's highest stats was a 9. I rolled absolutely atrociously, and the DM's like, nope, you only get 1 roll. And oh god damn it, I'm not recording. Okay. So story. Apparently I wasn't recording this bit because issues. Yeah, it's okay. I don't really care if this is kind of piecemeal. People can kind of figure out how this is going. But yeah, so I was playing a D&D campaign where I rolled really poorly on my stats, and the DM was just like, nope, you're stuck with that. Like those are your stats now. Good luck. And so my highest stat was like a 9 or something like that. It was truly like kind of the worst situation I'd ever been in for character build and whatnot. And I rolled with it. I played oh god. I think I actually specifically owned these the handicap. So I made a gnome barbarian that specifically only that absolutely refused. Oh yeah, because this was 3rd edition, there was there were cool extra there were cool extra rules. Specifically, Oath of Poverty is like one of my favorite things. Specifically, Oath of Poverty is hilarious shit if you ever look at 3rd edition, because what Oath of Poverty does is it makes it so your character can't own more than like 100 gold worth of items, or something like that. Like it's pretty crippling. And so as a result, my Oath of Poverty barbarian owned no gear, and would fight people using whatever he had on hand. So tables, chairs, people, so on and so forth. So he was like pure unadulterated garbage, and he would fight anything. I think his intelligence specifically was like a 4. Like, it was awful. And so as a result, this gnome barbarian, who, I mean, effectively was just a feral animal at this point. I actually want to say somebody's animal companion was smarter than my gnome barbarian, and I specifically had to like do some kind of contest of intelligence with this animal companion, because I think I was competing for the party mascot slot or something stupid like that, like just like a side joke, and I lost hard. And so as a result, my character was like not exiled, but dejected for a while. But I don't know if you guys have ever heard the story about the Dread Gazebo. If you've never heard about the Dread Gazebo, it's an awesome story about this guy that doesn't know what a gazebo is. And so the DM is like describing, you know, the garden that they're coming up to. And the player is like, you know, I'm gonna roll for initiative thinking that a gazebo is a monster. And he's very, very much misinformed on this matter, but it is a tale that is has lasted quite some time on the internet now, and it's magic. I think Bird hadn't heard about this before, but so I, having heard this story before, decided that my gnome would be in much the same my gnome barbarian would be in much the same category as this other player who thought a gazebo was a monster. And so he would fight literally everything. Like, I actually want to say I had him fight a rock, like a boulder, and lose. Because he was specifically trying to like smash trees into it and stuff like that. And so eventually the DM looked up exhaustion rules and had my character pass out from overexerting himself for like a 10-minute like epic battle against this this rock. And then later, as a joke, he got a belt, and instead of like a standard belt of giant strength, it was the I guess it's kind of the equivalent of the 5th edition belt of giant strength, where it sets your strength to like a specific sets your strength to a specific value. So he suddenly had a 23 strength, which was now his highest stat, and it went even higher when he was raging. I want to say it was like a 4 or 5 higher, or something absurd like that. So effectively, when he'd go into a rage, he became like, I mean, he'd effectively Hulk out. So you'd have this like tiny little shitty gnome character that suddenly can just like lift cars or whatever. And so I rolled a wisdom check because his wisdom was his second highest stat as an 8. So he wasn't wise, but he was enough to kind of like figure shit out eventually, ish. So I rolled a wisdom check to figure out if I could remember where the boulder was that had defeated me earlier. And I did. God, what was his name? God, what was this guy's name? This was when I was in like middle school or early high school, so I don't remember much about him. I'm trying to remember his name. It was like a gnomish name, so I don't know. It's been a while. I'll remember later. But yeah, so during like a break in the campaign, I had my barbarian go back and defeat this rock, and or you know, in order to defeat the rock, and I want to say he made it, but he didn't roll the wisdom. He didn't roll the, yeah, this is it. So he defeated the rock. I rolled enough like strength to actually like roll it down the mountain and, like, destroy the rock on more rocks or something like that. And so he had, like, this nice celebratory feast of rock, of his rocky foe. Unfortunately, he did not roll the wisdom save to remember where the hell the rest of the party was meeting up. So that was the end of him, sort of. Because he literally could not figure out where they were. He couldn't come back. Because they were gone. As far as he knew, they had left him behind or something like that. Like, he was that stupid. So, hey, Shell got the fly that was bothering us. And so he proceeded to just live there. You know, I guess in the corpse of his slain arch enemy or something like that, which was super funny. But later on, 2 campaigns later, I want to say a different DM even. Oh yeah, it was my brother's friend that was DMing, so he kind of allowed a lot of like weird shit as a result. And it was kind of a dumb campaign. So 2 campaigns later, when somebody else was DMing, we come back, and my barbarian is there, but like much older. And one rule for D&D is as your character ages, they get a little bit more intelligence and a little bit more wisdom and stuff like that. So he actually had like an intelligence of 7 and a wisdom of... It was a base intelligence of 7 and 11, but he'd like leveled up and got some stat bonuses that apparently he had applied to... At this point he was an NPC, so he'd applied summon to smarts or something like that. So he actually was like kind of wise to like be a person, but effectively they came across this insane gnomish barbarian living out in the wilderness, and they had to deal with them. I don't know like what I did. I think I actually like specifically refused to do anything, because I didn't want to I didn't want to be the one to finish off my gnomish barbarian, because he was, you know, still hyper-aggressive towards everything. But I think he eventually... He didn't kill himself, and the party didn't kill him, but by existing, the party led to his death. And I thought it was honestly fairly appropriate, because goddamn, that character was awful. But I made the most of it because I didn't have a choice. Oh... I think they, like, I think they literally catapulted him at a city that didn't believe in gnomes. Like, didn't believe gnomes existed. And so they burned him at the stake, and then, started, like, going super cult crazy or something weird shit like that. Yeah, Rock didn't kill him. I think honestly, being catapulted into a city did most of the damage. And then the peasants did the rest of the work. We had a lot of campaigns where people literally did not believe in gnomes. I don't know why that in-joke came in, but it was kind of amazing. Okay, God. I'm gonna see if I can use that live paint tool. Make a copy of this guy just in case. I'm not really sure if I like live paint already. Yeah. It looks like live paint is not exactly what I'm going for. It doesn't have enough fine control, especially with my, like... Copy the outline on top and lock the layer. Oh. I see. That makes more sense. Yeah, because it's more or less given us a bunch of bizarre color zones. The problem is we end up with this, like, weird hodgepodge. I think there's a slightly better way that I can do this. Because live paint seems interesting, but it also seems kind of messy. But if I, like, preemptively added a white fill to a lot of this, maybe it would work better. Because, yeah, I think ultimately the problem is those, like, weird color zones are gonna make this just too hard. But maybe if I do a light... No. Yeah, honestly, I think my usual workflow just works better. Even though it would, like, be cool to do it another way. I'll have to... Maybe I'll, like, watch a video on how somebody else does a live paint. Because I think, there are just those, like, really awkward... Live paint works great for plaids and things. Yeah, I can imagine. I've just got all this, like, overlapping, line work. And that kind of makes for a bit of a nuisance. Okay, so let's drop this to the back. Drop these behind it. Whoops. Oh. Bring these to the front, bring this to the back. Trying to, like, get some of these things set up gets a bit fuzzy. I guess honestly, maybe if I go into this, don't know why that happened, but that's okay. I'm just gonna connect these points. This works a bit better. Do I want it to be on top or on bottom? Let's have them be on top. I don't know if this is better. I think it works a bit better. Let's move this out though. This shouldn't be kind of overlapping there. That works-ish. Yeah, you can't make a bunch of line work and then be like, okay, let's learn how live paint works. Yeah, I'd have to actually learn the proper thing. Okay. Have you missed Gruck Smash work? Smash Good. No, I haven't. I don't know if I'm gonna be making, Gruck tonight. Honestly, these things take long enough as it is. Let's see, did I... Cool. Now this one's gonna need some special handling. Is it? It sort of is. I mean, really, I guess what I'm supposed to do is just... cut this here. I should have never done this, like, kind of weird line business. Because it was not a good idea. Then again, none of this is a good idea. It's gonna look bad no matter what I do. I guess I could actually just round the corners on this one. Yeah, that doesn't look good either. How about I do it the smart way instead of the stupid lazy way? Because this will solve the problem without having this, like, kind of weird open zone that nobody likes. Or that I don't like. I don't know. You guys probably don't give a damn. Okay. Bring this up to the front. Yeah, some mild layering issues, but that's just line art being fiddly. Okay, oops. So this goes... I guess it's got to be on this layer. Group this up. Cut that right there. Yeah, I think this is gonna work better. This way we get the proper layering. I still gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with this face. I mean, I could just have it be like some kind of weird generic like mannequin face. That actually wouldn't, I mean, it wouldn't be terrible. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go with, for starters, a weird, like, mannequin face. And then everything else will work. Hood's kind of become a problem with this style, though. Oh, well, I guess the other thing I could do is, well, I don't know. There's no pleasing me here. Because, like, I'm probably going to be messing with the face later. Let's just go with weird, creepy mannequin for the time being. And I'll figure out, like, a better style for this once we're further in. Or never. Never works, too. And so we're listening to the soundtrack for Xenoblade Chronicles, the first. Amazing game. Okay, let's copy this and let's undo all of this work for a second. I think doing a fill there was a bad move. Yeah, this way I can just put that there and that'll look fine. But yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles is one of those games that I've always wanted to do a series on, but I just haven't had the time. Because that is a long-ass game. And as much as I'd like to cover, like, cool old games, it's just, the nature of YouTube is terrible for it. Does this have a face, or is it like Angels from Diablo? I don't know. Part of it is, like, I don't even know. This isn't anything apart from, like, just kind of a generic enemy that the party's gonna have to fight. Which puts it into kind of an annoying... It puts it into an annoying territory that I'm putting all this work into a character that, like, literally won't do anything. Apart from fight them, but I guess they'll just be fighting somebody that's kind of awesome. So I guess that's... I guess that works. Okay. Group that up. Copy to the back. If I had my way, every character would be important in some way, or like I'd be able to put in this amount of effort for everything. But this probably works best. Okay, looking so far so good. I guess what I should probably do is actually put a background in this area so it's not just flat white. Yeah, let's do a slight background, just so I can tell which areas I've filled and which I haven't. What am I using to make all this? This is Adobe Illustrator. It's interesting how many people aren't aware of it, but I guess vector art is not something most people touch. What do we do? Kind of low. Do like kind of a blue-gray. Yeah, that seems reasonable. The other thing I could do here, I guess very specifically, honestly, it's actually halfway tempting to leave a lot of these characters just white. It's tall, epic-looking dude, not look hilarious with Skitter's face. That could be, that could be arranged. So, a lot of my artwork is actually fairly interchangeable by nature of, like, what it is. Because, you know, it's not Photoshop, it's a bunch of, like, intercollected parts. So let's see what Skitter would look like. Ah! Oh my god, he doesn't have eyebrows. Let's fix that. Oh boy. That is disconcerting. Skitter with no eyebrows is not something I'm a fan of. Alright, transform, reflect. Huh. A little bit smaller, I think. It kind of works. I mean, except for the fact that Skitter is like a tiny little man, tiny little, like, goblin dude. It kind of works. I don't think it's gonna happen. Yes, Skitter looks terrifying with that eyebrows. Oh yeah. It looks like a night elf. Yeah, he does look like a night elf from WoW. I always hated it that night elves had shit beards in WoW, because, like, I always love it when my characters have beards. Congrats, you've created power armor. Yeah. Yeah. You could call it power armor. I mean, the idea of Skitter just, like, in power armor is really funny looking. This will not happen, but it is funny. He's got like oh shoot. I mean, can we just grab a pencil here? So his body would like kind of come down here. This would be like his waist. These would be his shoulders. So his like arms would kind of be like here, and his hands would be here. So yeah, he'd just have those, like, grabby thingies. To, like, pilot everything around, I guess. I think I'm making his arms, like, a little bit long. But, that's closer to what Skitter's proportions would be. Which makes this super funny. Let's get rid of this. This is funny. This is a funny what if. If we ever get on a large scale on a large spell on Skitter, I think we know exactly what he's gonna look like. It's kind of like my my rule that I guess hasn't come into play yet, but whenever Keith is tries to wild shape, he's actually going to end up just looking he's going to be a lizard no matter what it is. Which I really want to come into play at some point. I just don't know. I don't know when that's going to happen. Like, if he ever turns into a bird, it's going to be a goddamn pterodactyl thing. If he ever turns into a fish, it's going to be a lizard fish. Because Keith doesn't understand, Drez does not understand mammals, or really anything of any other race. Drez does not understand people, things, places. It's like the most selfish person ever. Just out of, like, sheer lack of empathy-ish. Is it empathy or is it a lack of perspective? I don't know. I don't know, I just like the idea of him being mildly stymied by it, but like only lizardy things, reptiles. Lizardfish, so an alligator. Yeah, but it would be like, I mean, I guess it would kind of look like one of those like aquatic dinosaurs. Like that actually would be a fairly reasonable. Is it a Dimetrodon? Nah, I don't remember. I was never much of a dinosaur child. But so he'd turn into one of those. Skitter. Shell is being like, what's going on? Oh, come on, Shell. You don't want to see manly paladin, Skitter? Is this not, the height of design? Yeah, let's get this face out of here. Oh man, I'm getting kind of tired. I'll finish this guy up. I might not actually do colors for anybody yet. Colors might be something that kind of waits for later. I just want to get these together because at the very least, even if I don't get like colors on these guys, I can absolutely use them as black and white characters if I have to. Because honestly, I'd prefer to have a bunch of available assets, even if there's nothing better. Let's see. Did I draw the background sketch? Yes. Oh, no. No, no. Shell didn't draw that. I drew that. Shell might draw some of the other ones that I work on, but so far all of this stuff is mine. Generally, if Shell draws something, it's going to look a lot better, just because, unlike me, she does artwork consistently. Oh. Balls. Like, she's still doing art now? Actually, I think she's editing her missed playthrough. But so... But so she has a distinct amount of practice that I don't. And so, generally, her like, sketches are gonna look really nice in comparison to mine. I don't really mean to put myself down here, but, well, I haven't exactly been doing artwork much the past year. Couple of years, honestly. I'd like to do more, and honestly, like, this is actually getting fairly good, reception. So I might actually start doing, like, more art streams in the future. I was always kind of leery about it because whenever I do an art stream in the past, people would usually check out after, you know, 10-20 minutes of hanging out. But I guess having kind of the common interest of Grave of Man helps a bunch. Maybe I'll put on the Nier Automata soundtrack next. That was a good soundtrack. I just want to listen to We Will Become as Gods. That was such a, like, masterpiece song. It was a good soundtrack, too. Do I want to have this all be one thing, or should I... Don't know. I think I'm gonna have this all be one thing, just in case. I have to, like, pseudo remove these. I guess it's really not that much effort to make them into separate pieces. But yes, I do have a whole bunch of monsters to make. Yeah, let's switch. Xenoblade Chronicles isn't doing it for me. I might actually just listen to this song for a bit. I'll respond to a question or two if somebody wants to pose one, but I just want to listen to this song. It's amazing. Yeah, this was my favorite song in all of Nier Automata. It was absolutely amazing. The freaking level was so well done, too. So I've always liked to go back to this one if I want to feel, like, really pumped about stuff. Oops. It's getting weird. Okay, there we go. I don't know, there's just something about the combination of, like, the lyrics and the, there's something about the lyrics and the music in the background is just super well done. Just in general, Nier has always had absolutely amazing, soundtracks. Like, Nier, I wonder if Drakengard's soundtrack was any good. I don't remember it being very good, unfortunately. Which makes me a little bit sad, because, like, you know, I'd love to listen to more stuff like this. I guess really the trick would be, oh, balls. Oh, I know what happened. Go back out here. You want to go to this one. Okay. That's why this is having troubles. I seem to have also screwed up a couple of things. Actually, let's just take this line and make it uniform. Can I? Yeah. He was doing some weird curvy nonsense there. Sometimes it's actually better to have kind of a line that curls back on itself. There we go. That works. I'm cutting some corners, but still. Okay. So this is good. Yeah, so one of the reasons why I'm making this character model I'm realizing is, I mean, it's a little bit specific, but I'm realizing, unless I specifically find somebody that I want to utilize this specific, I'm saying specific a lot here, but if I want to use, like, a specific character for this, then I'll separate them out. But, like, say, for example, the party has to fight, I don't know, Smash and Crash again or something like that. I'm gonna turn it down just so we can hear. If the party runs into Smash and Crash again, I could easily just toss Smash or Crash's face onto this. Give him an axe, maybe. I mean, I could apply literally any head to this template, and it would look like a little odd, but at least everybody would know. Hey guys, I think I'm back. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. This is annoying me too if you guys are getting cheesed off about it, because, like, there's nothing I can do except for, I guess I assume this is probably an issue with my computer. I'm really glad I'm recording all of this in MKV right now, because that more or less means I actually can't lose any of the footage. Because yeah, for that specific crash there, that actually, crashed the whole recording. Like, it was just frozen. But since I'm recording in MKV, it doesn't matter. We just end up being, all I have to do is just kind of run a recover process and it'll come back no problem. Which is super nice, because I was, I don't know. I absolutely hate it when I lose footage. It is crippling. And tonight has been one of those just, like, shitty, annoying nights. I don't know. But yeah, I will have to figure out some proper way of doing this. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna see if I can finish off the hood. I still don't know what I'm gonna do. I still don't know what I'm gonna do with a lot of this, but at the very least I can have the hood set up here. And yeah, I think I'm just gonna listen to the Nier Automata soundtrack for the rest of this. That is doing some weird line business. I guess it doesn't really matter. We're not... This is not a line section, so who cares? Let's see. And I can just put it behind this section. Put this face behind this. Put this face in the back. Okay, there we go. Move this up a bit so it kind of matches. There we go. Okay. So that's good. I'm just trying to figure out how to do, I'm just trying to figure out how to, like, get this done. I've never been any good at making hoods. I think hoods are really cool. But I think between, like, a need for reference and some other stuff, they're just also kind of a pain in the ass. Let's bring that up a little bit. And toss that in the back. Okay, cool. So it should probably not be, like a dark gray. That should actually be this section here. These two copy, paste here, switch group. This is effort. Oops. Yeah. Hook it up. Okay. Now we're cooking something. These were supposed to connect. I apparently missed. That's a weird feeling. Okay. Then I guess I can just bring this back. It's weird narrating my artistic process. I almost never do these things. But at the same time, it's kind of fun. Okay, cool. This also makes the fact that this face may be, like, kind of comically overlarge. Maybe not, I don't know. It should be maybe recessed more into the hood. Yeah, I think I'll go with that. Okay. There we go. But yeah, unfortunately I should probably start thinking about calling the stream just because internet and tech problems have been a bit of a nuisance and also getting tired. Also, I gotta record a couple of things before tomorrow that at this point I'm afraid to stream. So what do we do? I guess I could always, I could always switch, like, the colors in, maybe. That could do it. But coloring also takes some effort. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I guess I'll just finish this off. We'll leave it as a white silhouette for the time being. And then I'll do other things later. Because, yeah, I mostly just didn't want to end tonight's stream off without some kind of outro. Oh. There we go. So now, at the very least, we've got, like, kind of a dark blue. I'll figure out the face later. I mean, technically, any face can be applied to this section. Is this an Amish character? No face. I'm not even sure how that specifically factors in. But yeah, either way, at this point, we've had the stream go down like a billion times. I've more or less finished this character. There's some more detail that can be put in, and a bunch of other stuff. But I think just due to all the technical problems we're running into, as much as I'd like to keep streaming, I think it might just be best to cut my losses and come back tomorrow. Because yeah, it's also like 1:10 in the morning. So yeah, I'm gonna be going to bed. I'll figure out. Oh yeah, I could just set as a multiplayer, multiply layer or something like that. There's like a billion things that I could do to make this work. But yeah, I think I'm gonna call it here. Honestly, considering the reception, I'm actually probably gonna do. I'm probably gonna do more of this tomorrow, depending on if I exactly have the time and when it fits in. Maybe at the end of the stream, maybe beforehand. Because I'd actually like to do this more often. Maybe I'll do some map creation. I don't know. For now, it is bedtime. Good night, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.